Good afternoon. It is Sunday, and we like a good Sunday afternoon. Um, yeah, we like a good Sunday. It is vaguely sunny here. They're talking of. Well, at one point they were talking of ridiculously hot day tomorrow, and I'm not quite sure we're still on target for that. Let's have a look. Daily. No, it slipped till Tuesday now, and it's not going to be quite as hot. Yeah, it's 30 here tomorrow and 33 on Tuesday. So, but they're still talking of too hot for the UK. Now, yesterday, for those who attended yesterday, while we wait for those who need to vote, so let me quickly put the vote thing back up, because, well, it's not going to happen if I don't keep putting it up there, so let me go get the vote thing. Do this. So if you have not already, there is now a pinned message. So that to please go vote, help my decision making process. I do of course reserve the right to ignore you all, but as long as you don't pick anything I hate. That's not true, I didn't hate any of them, but if you come up with a combination I think it's going to look a bit daft, I reserve rights for alterations, but to be honest, I have good hopes. So, in the meantime, we are faced with the dilemma of what to do. And about this time yesterday, I mooched around YouTube, as you do, doom scrolling for the win, and I came across something I thought I could do. Now, a while ago, I had a go at tatting with a shuttle. I get and respect those who do it, but I could not get the flow. I understand the principle, I have no problem with the principle, but I couldn't get the flow. The problem for me was partly sensory, which I'm noticing more and more these days that there are a number of things that I struggle with because of some form of sensory issue. So such as the flies picking on me, but also in this case because of the way the yarn string or whatever was touching my hand, and I found it highly undesirable. But I persevered and came up with a marginally different way of doing it, which resulted in the same thing, so that was good. In that, with tatting with a shuttle, you kind of go under, over, and then over, under. But to do one of them, you have to have the thread over the top of you so that you can kind of go through it. And I couldn't stand it on my right hand, but I could on my left for some reason. So that was fine, and so I worked around it. But I found it very, very difficult. And so what I came across yesterday was needle tatting. Now, needle tatting, frankly, in my humble opinion, has some very good positive points and some stupid ones. So, for those who were here yesterday will notice that this is one square bigger than it was. So you make an individual square, and although this is tiny, This is an individual square made with smaller thread. So let me zoom in, because now I've got control of my camera again. We can do these kind of things. So I just want to kind of make sure that where I want to work is kind of in the middle of the screen a bit. Yes, and Zuckerberg was here. So this is one of my... I made 2 of these before stream and 1 square, and now we have 4 squares. Now I do think that the square I added today, I added the wrong way around, because technically there is a good side and a bad side. I think it's still debatable, because unless you're really up close to it, you can't really tell. I mean, like everything, consistency is usually key. But to be honest, while we wait for you all to vote, we're going to make some of these, and we're going to see what we can make as... I mean, I have no particular intentions, although, of course, my brain is going, hey, make a curtain, make a shawl. My brain needs to really off. Yay, go honey bear. Right. So I need to... With this, it is literally, you have needle, string goes through needle, but you work with the bit attached to the ball. Now the cone's on the floor. Thank you, honey bear. I appreciate you dearly. And you literally just wrap the string. Now you wrap it in 2 different directions to make what look like little crochet stitches, to be honest. But they're hitches, well, they're half hitches, and you make full hitches. So this is what you're actually doing, and you do a number of these. So that's 6. 7, 8. Just check that I have actually counted that right. Yep. Then you make a gap called a picot, and we all know what Liz thinks of picots, but they serve a purpose here, and they're not quite so shitty. 5. Leave a bit of a gap. 1, 2, 3. So you end up with a bunch of stitches on here. You then slide them onto the end with the bit of a loop which you pick up with your needle, and you slidey slide until you make a little ring, and then you turn it over and make a knot so that it doesn't slide undone. But now you have a little ring, and then you make more rings. So put your thing on here and you do this. Now when you do this first one, you do need to snug it up pretty hard, because otherwise it's going to be a problem. 2, 3. Then you join it to the other one through the little gap bit you left, which made the picot. So you then go and grab this and pull this through here. And I've come to the conclusion that crochet hook's a lot easier than digging around. And you finish off that stitch. So that's 1, 2, oops, 3, 4, 5. Yep, that's 5. Then we leave a bit of a gap, and we do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then we might leave a small gap. And we do 1, 2, 3. So this is, so I've made like, well, it doesn't really matter which one, but I've made like the first loop. I'm making this loop. So you do 3 to join up, 5 to get to the top, 5 to get round to where you make the next join, and 3 to get to the bottom. So again, you slide, put the thing through the bottom, do a thing, turn it over, make the knot. Yoink. Turn it back over and check you've got the right side. And make the last one of the 3. So, snug. 1, 2, 3, and then through the hole, grab the thing, slide it up, make the end of that one, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, leave a gap, it's a bit long, it's a bit short, there we go, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, missed, 6, 7, missed. Sometimes they go down the wrong side. Yeah, 7, 8. Check that we've got the right number. 2, 4. Yep, that's 8 of those. So once again, slide to the bottom, poke up through the hole, slide it round, turn it over, make the knot, that looks a bit funky. Why do you look really funky? What are you doing? Hello. I'm just working out why this looks funky. Hang on. Bear with me 1 second. I can't do this away from my face, so I can't do this on camera very well because of my eyesight. So I need to. No, I don't. Well, I do, but this isn't crochet. This is not that. This is knotted, the crochet. This is needle tatting. I don't know why that looked so weird. So let's try that again. Keep that one tense this time. There we go. Right. I am Liz. Right. So, okay. So, now we've made our 3 duties. You're a bit twisted at the bottom, but that's okay. We can eat you back round. it's nice to meet you, Laura. Right. So I have. So this is like a corner. Pop. We now make the stick that comes off it. And we do that on the back. And the reason we do it on the back is so that the bumpy bits are in the middle. So snugged it right down. So we do 10 of these. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And, well, because they are, hang on, spam violets. I don't know why they love coming here, because it is the last thing they do. Spam bar. Spam. Spam bar. Think. Yes, I say that is me. Right. Let's kill that off. So, then we go slide this, but we don't loop through the bottom so that we make like a stick like this. Now we have a 3-leaf clover. And as you can see, it lies in the right direction to move to the next one. And we do that on repeat. So, in theory, it is not a hard process. In practice, however, as always with the way of crafting, there are many ways to somehow get it wrong. And joining it actually is joining it to this is a lot harder than it looks. So, now, we need to do, we start again. And we kind of need to eat you. Hang on. Oh, Spambot's dead. Right. Holding it against this little kind of sticky up bit is actually a lot harder than it sounds. Because, well, it's a round object against something that's just not wanting to do that. So, okay. Snug. 1. 2. 3. 4. Oops, spliced it. 5. Missed. 6. Actually, that looks far too loose, so 5. 6. 7. 8. Check I've got enough. 4 of those, 4 of those. Then we go find the little sticky out over here. And be pokey and grabby. And sticky out. And pull you up through there. Loop you over there. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, leave a gap, So effectively we just made that one again, so we need to slide and poke through the hole. So I find this a very curious thing. It's not that I don't entirely understand it. But as I said yesterday, the fact that basically the inside loop of going around here, and that one looks a bit deformed, but never mind, the inside loop to make the square, so this bit which forms the insides, needs to be nearly 2 foot long. Just seems a lot longer than my brain would have expected. I don't necessarily have a problem. It just seems, well, longer than I expected. So yeah, predicting the amount of yarn you need seems therefore a little bit hard to predict specifically because, well, it seems to be a lot more than you'd expect. One, two, three. Stick through the hole. Not that it's a very big hole, but that's okay. Doesn't need to be that big. So yeah, I mean, I do like the fact that you don't need a lot of equipment to do this. That, you know, obviously you can scrunch this up and stick it in a bag so it can, you know, scrunch and be, you know, it's not like, you know, it's not like, say, embroidery or cross stitch where you put it on a big frame and that you know, even if you have like the pull apartable cross stitch frame, you know, the embroidery frames, you still have a pile of tubes and then you've got a pile of this, and you know, with this, realistically, and your yarn ball, this is it. So from a kind of a practical standpoint, this is really quite a practical sport, we call it. So from that point of view, I kind of like it. Oh, I need to do the camera thing. Hang on. I need to dull the camera a little bit. Hang on. Because we worked out that was a thing yesterday. So let's take some of the glare down. There you go. So that you can see it a little better. There you go. The auto white balance, because of the dark background, gets a little bit overly keen on the light bits. So, right, so we've done that. So we need to do one of these. So that's 1. 2, 3, 4, 5. Leave a gap. 1. Not quite that big. 2, 3, 4. Oops. 4, 5. Yep. Leave a gap. 1, 2, 3, side of 3. Start the other half first. 3. Like that. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Thing. Goes into the corner. And we tie the knot. And then we make the next one. I'm finding these bars in the middle the hardest part. Because they do tend to twist. Seems to have this amazing habit of twisting. So 1, 2, 3. Pokage through the small hole. Grab, yoink, over the top. The other half is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Leave a gap. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 3, 5, and 8. That's right. Pull the thing. I don't know whether it's because the yarn I'm using is technically a bit big or what. Bear in mind I have no real experience with any of this. But I would say that it feels stiffer than I'd like. I wish it had a bit more flop to it. Not a horrendous amount more, just a little bit, just a tiny bit more, so that is that the front or the back? It's the back. Good. I just wish, as I say, it had just a little bit more flop to it. By the way, I worked out why my cone keeps falling over. It's because the bottom is munged, so it's kind of delicate. So now we need to do 10 of these. Snug. 1, 2, 3, fist, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And we go all the way through you, like this, chunk, and tie up on the end. Donk. And now comes the shenanigans. Because what whichever end I add, you know, whatever I do, whether I add it to a side like this or whatever, I haven't really given it a lot of thought as to how I'm going to add this. So, because if I make this kind of go for a square, shall we say, the next one will need to join on 3 sides. And I'm not quite sure I'm ready for that yet. But as I'm not really making anything in particular, yeah, screw it. Let's join it on the side. Let's work out which way up is up. This seems to be the predominance of up. Right. So now, we need to join this one. 1, 2. I can. 3. 4. 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Somehow I ended up with 9, so let's drop one off the end. Count again just to be sure. Yes, that's definitely 8. You go through here. This really does need to be a slightly bigger crochet hook, but this is the one I had to hand. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. That was 5, you see. I knew my brain was lying to me. It's 5. It's alright, puppies. I'd love to know why my dogs seem to have nightmares when I'm streaming. Yes, 5. So let's assume we're going to join them. So corner. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 5. Leave a gap. 1, 2, 3. Put in thing. Do the knot. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Through a big hole in the middle. 2, 3. Missed. 4, 5. 6, 7, 8. Yep. Through the join it all up at the beginning. Bit of a knot fee. It does, doesn't it? Yeah. It's the problem, of course, when you are counting things. Oh, where the hell did that come from? Mm. To tighten this up a bit more, because for some reason this is a bit bulky, and there's spare. Where are you from? Somehow it made spare at the beginning. Well, that's not a good thing. Let's give it a tug and hope. That's the front. We now need the back, and for you not to be tangled. I do think that working on a very big piece could get really cumbersome because the joinings really are not. It's not like crochet joins. Crochet joins really are quite painless. I mean, they're not dissimilar, to be honest, but they just are a lot less painless. I need 10 of these. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Check and count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10. Yep. See, this one's got loose at the bottom as well. So I actually have to start again because it got too loose. And I think that's the other bit that's annoying, is that no matter how much I seem to scooch them up at the beginning, somehow it's not always enough. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That fly needs to go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Will you leave my left arm alone? Problem is this fly is going dink, dink, dink all the time, and it's constantly on my left arm, but it's too hot to be wearing something over my arms so that I can't feel it. And I don't have a really large baggy cloth shirt or whatever to wear over the top because I don't go to the office anymore. So I haven't really got anything I can do about it, which is slightly irritating. Now we need to turn it over to the right side. And the only reason you need to turn them over and work on the other side is so that the bumps on the outside are kind of on the outside, because the bumps end up on the left hand side, so you have to kind of 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oops. 8. Then we need to go through the middle. Where's the middle? That's the middle. Pick up here. Yeah, that's the middle. That gives us not sitting right. Fine, I'll undo both then if it's going to be awkward. I've still got 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So you need to go through here, which is looking a bit staggered now. And then 1. Will you piss off, fly? This fly is really getting annoying. 1. 2. 3. 4. 5. Makes me itch. I'm already good enough at itching without having fly itching qualities. Oh, it's better. Scratch. Right. Sweet. Takes you to there. 5, yeah, this is right. So just brain farting as brains do. 1, 2, 3. So the problem is everything itches now, thanks to Mr. Fly. So you come around and make a thing like that. Yeah. This is what I mean by making the joins gets really complicated, because you've got, you know, imagine this is, I don't know, let's say a baby blanket size, which for those who don't know is usually like 30 something by 40 something, right? Well, if you've got all of that you've got to catch in your string, and if I had a flame flower, it is kind of it is kind of bizarre. So now we need 3. We need to scrunch this up as close as we can. So that's 1, through the small hole here. And we grab over the string. And we do the other half, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we need the one at the end. This one. And then we need to go. It might give from there. So then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep, that looks right. No, it's not, and then I need to leave another gap. No. What? Three, 5, 1. Fuck off. No, that's right. And then we need to leave a gap. And do 3. 1. 2, 3. There. Because that's the corner one. And that comes round, joins. Oh. The fly has a fascination with my left arm, so I'm going to put a blanket on, even though it's really hot under my blanket, because I can't handle the fly bouncing off my arm all the time. And this is what I was saying earlier about I've realised that my autistic, I never really noticed previously having sensory issues, but since going through menopause, I just do all the time now. Lots of sensory things really bug me, and to the point I want to explode. You know, if this was a cartoon, you know, there'd be like steam coming out my head, and then there'd be a big explosion and guts everywhere. And because some things, like a hair, is touching my forehead because of the fan, it could be as little as that, and it will literally trigger me to want to explode. And it's kind of sad and depressing that, you know, at my age I am so incapable of handling the most trivial of things, but it's also kind of like just can't seem to do it. 1, 2, 3. It's a bit like having someone kicking your chair. First couple of, first few times, it's just marginally annoying. Half an hour later, you want to annihilate them, their entire family, you know. And it is like that, only on a much stupider scale. So that's 1. I need a bit of a gap. No, I don't. 2, 3, Oops, that was weird. It kind of twisted round on itself. 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, arseholes! Back to here. Why am I douche? Because I need to drag this one round. Because I'm joining the last bit of the thing. And here you seem to join it inside out, upside down, back to front, and pray to God that you got it right. So that's the string that I want. I need it to join that way round there, like that. So I'm coming in from on top, so I need it through that one, I think. That's 1, 2, 3. Missed. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Check and count. Yep. And now is when we find out. Undoing it is not easy. For goodness sake. It twists and then of course it won't slide through the holes. Which and the worst thing is I don't see why it twists, because, well, it shouldn't really, but shouldn't be that bad at least. Well, that looks like I kind of got it right, so let's hope. Like that. Turn it over. For goodness sake. Oh. Twisted it is. So we're getting there. Got the last little leg to do. I do find these inner bits really want to twist. There's another variant of the square where instead of kind of these bits going out the edge, they go to the middle, turn around, and you kind of link them together in the middle. I'm not sure I feel that adventurous yet. This is the right side. So now we need to do the wrong side, which is through the hole here, and it's, everything gets all tangled and twisted, and for no other reason than it freaking can actually. But where are we? So I need this end on the other side. Everything's on the wrong side because of all the extra bits. So this is why I do feel that if I had to make like a full big blanket or whatever, this would be difficult. And if imagine if you used really, really tiny thread, so then you can't really see what you're doing. Because this piece would probably fit in like one corner of these. You just, to be honest, you just let it twist, wouldn't you? You'd just have done with it and just kind of go, yeah, whatever. You know, life's too short for this shit kind of moment. So let's 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, missed, 10. So you can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. To be honest, it doesn't really matter if I don't. I mean, to be honest, if they were slightly longer, they'd bow a bit more to the middle. So, you know, it's not really the end of the world. So I'm not in that. And then we need to attach it to the other corner. This is the wrong side, so this is the best side to be attaching things that you would kind of need. And then we chopperty view tail up, stick that over there, itch because you're itchy, and the blanket doesn't want to stay on my arms, so now we need to tie a knot. Check we're still on the back. We are. Tie a knot, pull the needle off because you're getting annoying. We have an L. There you go. I mean, it looks a little bit kind of mangled. As I say, it's not going to win Beauty of the Year. It took me a lot less time than last time. I mean, so I have got quicker. Mainly because I didn't stuff it up. Or I noticed I stuffed it up before committing, I think is the more accurate answer. Yeah, the inner sticks are definitely I wouldn't go with great. I did okay. I kind of want to be able to do it with much thinner thread. But given my lack of eyesight, I'm not so sure that that's entirely a valid plan. I do feel some of the counts feel off. Now, bear in mind, I got them off a off a YouTube video. But I do feel that the counts can't quite right, because I feel like the innards is very hit and miss. They either seem really baggy or not long enough. Out of interest, this is fairly fine thread. So, what if we plop that over there, and I go to my collection and pull out the finest needle, the bendable, most likely to break in the history of forever needles. Pop that one back in. I had to break the end cap. I had to split it. If I do this, you'll see it's split. I had to split it because it wouldn't come off. I thought it was screw. No, I pulled it, I twisted it. It wouldn't come until I stuck a pair of scissors down to it, split it slightly, and then it went, oh yeah, I pull off. Well, you didn't originally. Right, so let me move the brown string. We are going to try. You're going to laugh at me. With my lace making string. Let's see how insane a girl can go. Right. Because the answer, I mean, look at this. I mean, it can't even fall straight because of the fan. I mean, it does not bode well, does it? Now, part of me says I shouldn't need 2 foot of spare, but I'm going to have to do this without my glasses on. One, two, can't quite see this far. 5, 6, 7. Okay, maybe that's 8. Yeah, that's 8. I mean, this is the tiniest shit. So now we need a gap. Let's make these picos a bit bigger. So 1, 2, 3, 5. That's 5. And then we need to leave a gap. Seriously, dudes. Seriously, what the fuck is this? Funniest thing. Like, not on the other side. Yep. This is a one-off experiment. This is not. We're not planning on actually making anything from this. I'm not planning on making those. Although I do have colours and could make coloured ones. This is not for the faint of heart, people. Now we need, as I said though, the only good thing from this is you can't tell which way up's the right way up. I will put my glasses on, but it makes it smaller, and because of the kind of constant like rain pattern on my glasses due to the breaking, and hanging on to this is impossible. So, no, not you. This one. Treasure is actually one of the right size for this, because this thing can actually grab the string. Because this is what pressure hook was built for. So one. Sliding now. There's nothing to it. 5. Then we need to leave a gap, which would be the corner of the gap. And we need to do this 1, 2. Just checking. 5. Then we need to leave a gap again. 1. 2. So we've got 3, 5, 5, 3. Yeah, 3, 5, 5, 3. That last pico is possibly a bit small, but I mean, look at the tininess of this. Insanity. And of course, it's all twisted up and got stuck. It's got stuck, it's twisted, and I can't see. Yep. There's nothing to hold on to, which doesn't help. might be the death of it. I can't. Stick. I think it's just died. Because this twist, this should just be one loop, not two, right? There's a little loop there. And I can't tell which end the loop is attached to. That's the end of that. It was doing alright, but it's too hard to untwist when you can't see. Just wasn't gonna. I mean, we knew this was a risk, which is a shame, really. It was doing all right. But it just kind of proves how complicated. It's being small wasn't the problem per se. It's the fact that the end that doesn't move. Because if you think about it, I'm holding this needle like this, and all the movement is done with my left hand. So how does this gain twist in it? But it seems to. I mean, you've seen it so many times. It ends up with twisting it, that then means it makes it harder to pull through. It's a shame, because it would have been nice. I mean, been a bit small and all that. But life is too short. You know, it's like everything. It's like when we were doing the missed it. When we were doing the Bucks Point kind of strip, and something had gone wrong, and I just couldn't find how. I'd gone back really far. I'd looked at it. And I just couldn't find where the mistake had happened, because it all seems to add up, but at the same time you get so far down the road and then it suddenly stopped adding up, even though it all added up until this point, and then suddenly it would be wrong, but at the same time you hadn't changed anything, but it was still wrong. And so I don't know. I don't know why sometimes so many of these things they're not hard, but once you screw them up, it's really hard to find out how. My brain hurts. See, another way you could join these, rather than the solid. That's right, I got the right needle out, so. But let's zoom out a bit, because you don't need to be able to see up the ant's nose hairs from this, right? So, instead of joining the 3 points, so the corner, the middle, and the other corner, you could join them on the corners and make diamonds. That'll probably be a lot less fiddly to work with. Just join the corners. But then they'd probably twiddle a lot. Whereas at least they're joined in the middle to help take the load, as the phrase goes. I mean, each individual stitch looks pretty regular and evenly sized, and that's because you wrap it around a needle, so that's not too bad. But it's amazing the amount of variance you can have despite that. I'm at a bit of a loss. For part of me says keep going, but the other half says take my headache and go to sleep. I took some Nurofen, Advil to the Americans. I think it's Advil. Can't remember if it's Tylenol. The fact that you can't be asked to call it by its drug name, I really don't understand. But, actually, one of the things that is kind of interesting, so on the subject of ibuprofen, or Nurofen in the UK, is one of the popular brands of Nurofen. If I go into a store, any store, whether it's a pharmacy or standard food shop, chances are they've got ibuprofen. As a generic rule, you're allowed to buy 2 packs of ibuprofen. Packs generally come in 16 or 32. In America, they buy bottles of 1,000 plus, and sometimes in, 2-for-1 offers, right? Now over here, allegedly, and I do use that very carefully, they don't like you buying more than 2 packs on the grounds you might be trying to hurt yourself. But at the same time, you can actually go into a pharmacy and you can ask them for a bottle of 98. Yeah, for some reason they don't like doing 100. 98, or was it 96? Somewhere around there. It might be 96. And they'll give you a bit of a side eye and ask you why you want a bottle of 96, and you do, well, because I'm sick of buying one pack, a couple of packets a week. Or I'm sharing them around the office is also a good answer to that. But so they'll just ask you a question. As long as you give a reasonable sounding answer, they'll let you buy one. Same with paracetamol. You can buy a tub of 500, I think it's 500 pack. Yeah, I mean, you can get prescription packs that are bigger, right? But normally I think 96 is the normal. But you have to ask. You can't just buy one. Mind you, of course, if you're really lucky, they do like pills that are 500 milligrams and you can buy. But here's the other thing. So let's say you're buying 100 milligram tablets, right? You can also buy 500 milligram tablets, but you can also buy bigger. You can buy like 32 500 milligram ones, but you can't buy 5 times as many 100 milligram ones. They really haven't thought this out, have they? I mean, but I do actually really envy our American counterparts who can go down Walmart and pick up a super tub of ibuprofen. As someone who woke up this morning with 2 incredibly painful hips, backache, and now a raging headache, and I've got 2 ibuprofen left in the house, I would be very happy if I could buy a tub that was worthy of sorting out the sins in my body. I mean, don't get me wrong, I try not to take pills, but my headache pre-stream was pretty raging, and it did help a little bit, but staring at stupidly small stitches and counting and playing, is this the right side or not, and all the rest of it is definitely not helping. So I beg forgiveness. I really do. But I think I'm going to call it a day for today. I might add a square or two later if my brain calms down. I do really need to eat some food and stuff. Because I didn't really eat properly yesterday, which probably doesn't help. Well, in fact, almost certainly doesn't help. But I need to eat some actual food. I've got some soup I'm going to make. So I might, I really will go and do that. She says quickly mentally checking. As long as she's got some tinned tomatoes, it'll be good. Go and make some soup and put in some crusty rolls when I'm ready. No worries, Bailey. It's always good to see you. I know that to an extent this is really not, your bag per se. But it's like watching Ox do work on his car or whatever. I've taken a few bits of car off. I've helped with repairing my own. So I'm not against doing it. It's not something I would necessarily be choosing to spend my afternoon doing. But at the same time, it's the supporting a friend while they do something that they want to do. And I watch plenty of streams that have stuff that I wouldn't necessarily personally do, but I find interesting watching others. So, for example, Nautical is a great example of that. I don't necessarily have the want within me to make rope mats. I'd probably do one as a, can I actually vaguely manage this? And I'm pretty sure the answer is, with a bit of patience and swearing, probably a lot of swearing, yes, I probably could. But I do find it interesting to watch someone else doing it. It's the same with... I watch lots of YouTube videos kind of on the same deal. It's not that I want to do it, but I'm interested in how it's done. I'm interested in seeing, the kind of, some of the hints and tips of, I hadn't considered that, as when you're doing it. So like with this about trying to scooch it up into the corner and make it neat and tidy. Now, you start out thinking you've scooched it up, and then when you get to the other end, you find you hadn't, because you managed to let it relax a little bit. Or the twisting. And it's things like that you hadn't necessarily thought of when looking at it. And so I enjoy trying things. This is not going to be my next number one hobby. I am not going to get to the end of my neck curtain and make like a bedspread out of this crap. Really not. I will probably play around with it a bit more, try a few different shapes, see if I can't do something a little bit more interesting than a small square. But at the same time, I don't hate it. I really, really don't. I just kind of get frustrated with it. I was up till 5 this morning, so it's been less than 12 hours since I went to bed, So I am allowed to be a little bit yawny, I'm afraid. But yeah, I can see an appeal in it. I really can. And I would really like to use much finer thread. I think the one I actually picked was probably a little bit too thin. I probably could go up a couple. And use some of my fatterer ones, and I've got some fatterer ones, so that's not really a big deal. But I do think that, again, it could have a nice edging. There is a thing called crow tatting, where basically you have kind of a long needle, but with a hook on the end, and you can do some crochet stitches as well as tatting stitches. don't really want to get into any of that because, well, like, you know, rabbit holes and all the rest of it. But I can kind of see why it would be useful. Having a small hook on the end of the needle, in general, would be useful. Um, because it would allow you to do the picot thing a bit easier. So from that point of view, kind of get it. And using a really, really fine crochet hook, if it was straighter and didn't have... I mean, if you look at most crochet hooks, this is the operational part and the actual size of it, and then it gets fat. Well, of course, that would mean that you can't stack many stitches down it. You'd need it to be properly straight with just the hook on the end, and obviously it's not very ergonomic to hold. So with that in mind, I do think that, you know, there could be benefits. As I say, I would like these needles a lot more if they were about half the length. So about, you know, literally chop it in half would be good. Because they're almost too long. Because obviously the tail's down here and you don't really want... I don't see that I would ever likely fill all of that. Or it would be a more specialist moment should I do. So I do think that some half-size ones would be good. And of course you can get some sort of ones that are half-size because they're embroidery needles. But they don't come necessarily in the various sizes. Whereas these don't tell you what size they are. They're just like, you know, fine, extra fine. Well, actually, these just come in a pack of, well, tube of things. And I've got 4 of them. I have ordered a couple more so I can play with it. And one that is going to be kind of chunky because it can... Basically, it's for chunky yarn. I mean, that could be interesting. But I do think that something like this, using yarn of this sort of size, maybe slightly thinner, it's kind of practical. It's a thing. You know, I've made what 5 squares now. Admittedly, I made one of them off stream. This one earlier, but if they take about an hour, it's the kind of thing you can do sort of watching a film a bit, because, you know, you can count, and because you have to do different actions with your finger to loop the thread around the thing, I'm not going to say you can do it without looking, but you can kind of do it while talking to someone, as I've been doing to you, and I'm not a guru, so admittedly, you know, I've made some mistakes, not going to deny that, and that one looks really, really kind of squished. I'm sure I've screwed that up somehow. This one doesn't look very round, but I don't know. I think it could be nice, and I think, you know, because you can make like a square, the joining it is really cack-handed for me, but maybe that's just a practice thing. I'm not quite sure how that would work with a tatting shuttle. My brain kind of farts gently, because in essence there's nothing a tatting shuttle can't do or a needle can't do that they should be interchangeable. So I do have a book on tatting somewhere. It came with a pile of books that I bought. Yeah, somewhere over there. Is that the same book twice? I can't see that far. Hang on. Let me get my phone. I'm sure I'm just looking at my pile of books, and I swear... Yeah, Projects in Tatting and a pattern book of tatting that look basically identical. I might go and grab one of those. I couldn't read that they were tatting books, I can just see that they're blue and they've got white writing on and look basically identical. So I might go and grab one of those and have a look and see if there's anything that I wish to venture into for a bit of a laugh. Because of course I could make a K. I'm not sure I've got... Hang on, if I did that, I'd have to join it here. One there, one there. Not sure it would look like a K if I did that. But I suppose if I did them joining them halves and so they went up at an angle, that probably would. I could probably make an LK out of it. Probably be better if I made this one taller. Then I've got a middle one to work from. Or I just keep going and add to it and make a matte type thing. But yeah, this is quite heavy compared to my lace stuff, which is kind of weird. So it's kind of weird to think of this as lace. But tatting is a form of lace. It's just that obviously I've used like the equivalent of, you know, barge tow rope rather than finest fronds. I might have another go with this sized yarn, because to be honest, this didn't go too bad. I mean, you know, it's a square. It's got a friend somewhere. Don't know where its friend went. There it is. There's its friend. So, you know, this was the first one and it's a bit mankier looking. But I might give that another, because of course I used this hook. So this hook that's worked well for this was a bit big for this. But to be honest, while it's a bit big, it makes it floppier. And, you know, if you were making a shawl or something, while this is quite a practical one to use, because obviously 5 squares goes a long way, but if I do like this, half the number of squares is like 1.5 squares, so you'd need a lot more, and more is not necessarily bad, but I do think floppier can be good. This would be more of a winter shawl or a bedspread, I think. But of course this would be great for dog claws, so not in this house. But something like this, made into a shawl, could be good. And again, I've got some colours. Well, not of this size, actually. Actually, I might do. Might have some colours of this. This was easier to work with in the grounds that this is a mercerised cotton. This, of course, is not. So this would absorb water like nobody's business. This would tend to repel it a bit. I might have another go at that size. I just don't have a lot of it. Not, again, that I'm expecting to make anything spectacularly cool out of it. I've got some tencel somewhere. I hated weaving with that. Maybe I could use that. Yeah. What's the matter? What? Why are you all excited? What? Oh! What? You have drink? I know you do. I do know you have drink. Yes. Why are you acting? What's the matter? What's the matter, little one? Have you got a headache? I've actually seen her have a headache before. In fact, I've seen her have a migraine before. It was all over her face. You could so tell. I bought a pet, right? Being a Brit, we do not have Cheetos, right? They are not something you generally get here. And there was some on Amazon, so I bought some. I ate a chunk. I didn't. Oops, that just rolled up. I ate some, and they didn't really do much for me. So I fed the remainder to the dog, because there's nothing in them that will hurt the dog. And I watched her have the same migraine I was having from eating Cheetos. It was really bizarre to watch a dog have a migraine. She really was suffering. You could see it in her face. She was doing that kind of wince face, that kind of screwed up, can you shut up, turn the lights off, I'm done with today look. And she really, really did. So I know she's capable. Don't I? And how have you got such a long claw again? Yes, what's the matter? If you're hot, you shouldn't have been outside lying in the sun. I know. Oh, get off me blanket. Can't hug you with my arm if you're standing on it. Can I? No. But yes, thank you for coming. Thank you for the stream. Thank you for being being supportive of me and my endeavours. I'm intending to close the vote for the strips on Wednesday, so that by kind of and spend some of Thursday's stream prepping the thing, so that I can print them out, start pricking them. Because, well, it's gonna be an epic adventure. It's gonna be dwarves in a little ring and a volcano kind of adventure. And I'm kind of looking forward to it. I do think it's quite funny that so far most of the votes do agree that I'm going to regret this. Well, let's face it this way. It wasn't far off this time last year when I embarked upon the squares, and you had no say in the squares. And I regretted that. Let's truly be honest here. I was not exactly endowed with the squares before I boiled off them fairly quickly. But I do like the strips, and I like the fact that they join well. Joining them's going to be a bit of a shit, but it's not hard, but it's a bit like holding these still when they're flapping. It's not easy for me, and because they are incredibly light, it's not like you can it's not like this where I can weight one over one hand and it's staying there so that I can do things with it. Because they weigh next to nothing, yeah. Now, obviously, come the winter, when you do not have fans on and all the rest of it, it's probably not quite so bad because they won't try and fly away. Because it is a bit like trying to have two puddles of smoke in your hands and trying to encourage them to go together without just kind of dissipating everywhere. What is that dog doing? Never know for sure. But yeah, so I do think we have challenges ahead, for sure. And one of the other challenges will be joining them together, because you need sufficient thread to go all the way down the metre long kind of side. You can arguably start a new one at the bottom, so you don't need to have enough to pull through all the way, but when you're dealing with that kind of length of thread, it does get difficult. And it's not like, ladder stitch where you can kind of loosely sew it together and then tighten it all either. You kind of need to be semi-reasonable on the way. So you're gonna, to start with, until you, until you get to kind of like 3/4 of the way down the strip, 90% of your thread is going to be pulling through, getting rougher, getting tangled, getting twisted, and generally driving me insane. So, I do need a pack of dwarves and a few elves with bows and a wizard. And I hope that some of you will be those rocks for my sanity. because I have no willpower of my own. I am Bilbo. I have no idea why I'm here and what I'm doing. So, but I'm also looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to the end result, and eyes on the prize and all that. Um, but yeah, I do think my sanity could be a little frayed towards the end. Because even if I just make 6 strips or whatever, and then I think it's going to have to be 7 just to make it easy. But so it's like even if I make 7 strips, it's the joining them together that's going to really suck. And part of me says, join as you go, but then it's not a quick process. And it's definitely not a fascinating one for you because, again, it's something I have to do 2 inches from my nose, so I can't exactly do it on stream. I mean, I can do it while I'm streaming, but you're not going to get to watch anything because I'll be sticking it 2 inches from my nose. So, yeah, it's a thing. Anyway, I shall see you tomorrow evening, probably to do more of these. We'll probably do these until Wednesday evening when I go through the results. So we'll have a couple more days of me doing this. As I say, I'm not really making anything in particular. It's not going to stay as it's not going to stay as an L. I will fill it in and make it a square. But yeah, take care, everybody. Thank you for coming, and we will brave the new week. Take care. Bye bye.